As you can imagine, running from the police has consequences. She thought she was going to get away. What happened was a multi-year-long legal battle that cost practically infinite money. My dad, he had his law club, and they were on it. These rednecks, let me tell you, these guys were geniuses. They knew all the ins and outs, man. How to bob, how to weave. They ended up miraculously having my mother have any type of court postponed for like ever. It was like years before this thing finally came to a head. By that time, my sister was, I'm pretty sure she was living with me at that time. We had an, apartment and whatnot. Yeah, I think she was out by that time. If not by that time, very close to around there. And my parents called her up and said, we need you to get on the stand. And this is what we need you to say. And she just said, no, I'm going to tell the truth. Whatever the truth is, that's what I'm going to say. I don't like the idea of perjury. You see, we understood what perjury was probably 8 years old. You know what I mean? When your dad has a law club and he never met a conspiracy theory he didn't have best friends with, you knew what perjury was. You had to be very careful in situations like this. Unfortunately, my dad, it was very difficult to convince for my mother to take any accountability, responsibility for this. It was the government's fault. It was the wind's fault. It was everybody else's fault. I said, Dad, you have a foot. This is a foot. See this foot? And what happens is this foot goes like this. Do you see that? Do you see that? This is called flat. This is called 45-degree angle, okay? When the foot goes from 45-degree angle to flat, that causes a car to move, okay? That's called pushing on the gas. Who pushed on the gas, Dad? And he just could not bring himself to tell the truth. He couldn't do it. He tried to continually blame the government and this and that and da, when ultimately the person that was responsible was the person whose foot went from this to this. Very simple, not complicated. Well, after many arguments and frustration, as you can imagine, finally my dad had to go to court. It was court day. I think they charged her with like 13 different counts or something, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, I'm kind of sad about this being the person I was back then. It felt like finally, for all the injustice that I went through and our family went through at our mother's hand, it finally kind of felt like justice was going to be served, man. Which is, I feel guilty about, but that's the truth. That's what it felt like. Like she finally was going to get repercussions for her actions. And the wild thing is they wanted my sister to get on the stand and blame the police officers. Now, this is before body cam footage and all this other madness we got today with high-performing audio. They wanted her to get on that stand, and they wanted her to fabricate the reality they had created at the law club. Talk about wild. Now, I'll tell you what. Redneck Law Club. Seems like, yeah, these guys are Looney Tunes. My mom did not have a lawyer. Redneck Law Club, too good for lawyers, I'll tell you that much. Too good. I believe she had 13 charges. 13. Think about that. I guess when you run from the police, you incur a lot of charges other than running from the police. That was one of them. The law club got the charges down to one charge. 12 thrown out, 1 remained. 1 remained. You want to talk about Redneck Law Club? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was astonished. I mean, we went from 13 to 1. 13 to 1. That's crazy, man. Redneck Law Club on fire. But that one charge ended up landing my mother in jail. I'm pretty sure that as an adult woman, this is the first time she ever faced any consequences for her actions whatsoever. Because my dad always took her side. Everything was always everybody else's fault. This is the first time she had some consequences, man. I'll tell you that much. And honestly, I kind of felt bad for her. I really did feel bad for her when she went to jail. My mother was such an unbelievably powerful master manipulator. She had convinced everybody she was out of state in a hospital. Okay? And they couldn't come visit her, and they couldn't write to her. She was just going to be incommunicado. And what's wild is she wasn't in jail that long. I mean, she multi-county police chase, okay? I mean, she was gone. She was not in jail that long. I think it was like less than 6 months or something like that. Maybe a little bit more. I went to visit her a few times, and I'm proud of myself that I actually did that, because at this time I had so much resentment and rage and anger. I was working through the beginnings of that. Hate. It's so much hate in my heart and my soul. Violent hate. And I went to go visit her, and like there was this level of satisfaction inside of myself that because of her behavior, it finally caught up with her. And I don't like that part of myself, but that's the truth. That's all I'm going to do is tell the truth. That's how I roll. It always felt to me like super awkward. I mean, I remember going to the jail, walking up the steps, getting signed in, going and sitting down, and they brought her out in a jumpsuit. And I'm looking at her, was there with my dad, and I didn't have a ounce of compassion at all. I mean, it was just like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, shouldn't run from the police. And yet, at the same time, I was super dysfunctional and enmeshed in my parents and the dysfunction at the time that I still wanted her to get out quickly, and I was sorry she was there. But on the inside, I just had this sixth sense of triumph that finally her behavior had caught up with her. She had met an immovable force that she couldn't manipulate, and she couldn't talk away, and she couldn't run from. A friend of mine says it like this: there's pre-jail your mom, and there's post-jail your mom. Pre-jail your mom, I would never let her watch my kids. Post-jail, she's a different person. And I think that's the truth. I think that being in a cell was quite humbling for her. And it changed our relationship a bit. It definitely did. Now our relationship is much, much different. Much different. If there's any moral to this story, I suppose it would be willing to master your ego. Because if you don't, life will find a way of helping you get there.